I'm still sick, Jim.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
I think I have bronchitis.
Oh, you got the itis?
Yeah, because like last week was kind of the beginning, couple days of a cold, and then for the past like 4 or 5 days, I've been coughing up all kinds of green slime. So
Gets
yeah,
down inside you.
Yeah, and I just got done talking to parents for an hour, so my voice is doing great.
I hate that. That'll happen if we're reviewing for a test and I have to talk to the kids for a whole class period.
Oh yeah.
Or if we're taking they're taking notes and then some of them are loud, you start to talk over them a little bit and then you have to stop because you can't.
Yeah, I'm bad at the yelling at the children to quiet down, like during the team meetings and all that.
So you're bad at it, like that you let them keep talking, or you're bad at it.
I just try to talk. I just try to talk over them. I don't because I don't have teacher training, so I don't have the stop everything, yell at them to get it together. I forget to do that.
So okay, well this will be fun. I have a little bit of teacher training, not as much as you would think you would need to have to teach real school to real children, but I have enough. So, what type of arrangement are you in while you're talking to them? Like, how are you set up in the room?
So when I do team meetings, they are usually sitting at a desk because we meet in one of the teachers' classrooms.
In a classroom,
and
okay.
Yeah.
And how many players are we talking about?
When we do the full team, it's 25 to 30.
So like
it's varsity and JV.
Okay. So where does the talking usually start, or where is it worst? There's got to be
about a part of the room. No, it's usually certain people.
Okay, right. And do they usually sit in a particular spot every time?
That's a good question.
I bet they
think
do.
People tended to, even though obviously it's a quick
10-minute
meeting before a practice or a game, so it's not like we're having a sign. But yeah, you think it's where they're sitting?
Well, no, not necessarily. But I'm leading you down a path.
Okay.
So I'm assigned a mentor where I teach, and he gave me a little bit of advice that no one had given me, and I actually tried it, thinking it was not going to work, and it worked. So just try this next time. When they start talking, there's usually some kids that start talking first. Just stop whatever you're doing and walk toward them. Like toward their desk, and just stand there and look at them. And what happened with me, what I was told would happen and what actually happened, is that they will look at you and then they will stop talking.
Right.
And it works.
That's true.
So just try that next time. Just walk toward them. Just stop what you're saying. And then the kids that are paying attention, they'll already be quiet. And then you walk toward the people that are talking, and then they will see you come toward them, not talking. And then they'll sort of realize, like, oh yeah, he's not talking because we're talking. Just try it. It might work.
I like that.
It might work.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's free to try. It's free to try. So.
It is. And that would be very out of character for me.
Right.
Like that's not my style. So that would. No, I'm saying that's good. That would get their attention.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not a big yeller either at practice or anything. I don't. I explain what needs to be done, and then I tell them I expect them to do it. And so the few times when I do yell, I feel like it has a lot more effect.
It will.
Because it doesn't happen very often.
That's true.
So doing that, something a little different.
One of the issues with the kids being loud, though, or not even maybe loud, but just talking, and you have to talk over them. If you stop and say something about the talking, in my experience, it doesn't have as great of an effect as if you just stop talking and walk toward them.
Okay, interesting.
Like imagine if you were in a room of adults and an adult was talking, and you were talking over the adult, and the adult stopped and was like, "Guys, can you just not talk over me? Okay, this is serious." It says a lot more to just not say anything, because they might goof off harder if you. I've seen it happen, and there's like pushover teachers, and I've been in their rooms working on stuff while they're teaching, and when they say guys, and when they start like, "Guys, come on, can we just get it together here?" That's when things are just even worse.
Yeah.
Stop daddying me! I'm doing a show.
You're supposed to say, guys, stop talking. I'm doing a show. Are we recording?
We've been recording this whole time.
Oh, this is a thing.
Of course.
And, we should probably provide some context for our listeners who.
Oh, sure. This is Not Like This, episode 58.
Yeah.
I'm Jim Snedeker.
I'm JD. Dale is trying on clothes.
He's trying on clothes.
He's been trying on clothes for like 3 weeks now.
What he's done here is it's a turnkey operation. He got this podcast thing going, took him about 10 years, got it off the ground, and now it's turnkey, and he can do his own thing, and we'll podcast for him.
Yeah, except he still micromanages from beyond.
Yeah.
He's still. I got a list of homework. I got things we have to talk about at some point tonight.
Did you just get things we have to talk about, or did he also tell you things that were bad about the last show? Because that would be fun.
He didn't actually tell me things that were bad, but I half jokingly said I'll try to have a good show this time, and he said, yeah, you should do that.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, that's just him.
Yeah, he said, yeah, do better. That was the exact quote.
Yeah. Well, you could always do better, so that's never a lie.
Well, of course.
So this is another Dale-less episode, but it's still a two-man booth here.
Yeah.
And he's given you some topics to talk about.
Right.
And I have not been made aware of these, so this should be interesting.
Yeah, it's right up your alley. It's nothing weird. One of them I will have no thoughts on.
Is it nothing weird, or is it up my alley? It can't be both.
I think it's
got to be.
No, it can.
If it's up my alley, it has to be weird.
Well, no, by nothing weird, I mean it's very, very common to this podcast.
Oh, okay. So
it's not gonna throw you off.
So it's really weird.
Right, I guess. But you'll be expecting it.
Okay.
You want to get right into that, or
let's get right into it. Why not?
Okay. All right. So here's the first one. They apparently have a writer for Halloween 2.
And who is this man?
His name is Scott Teems, Teems.
Thought you were gonna
and
say.
You're probably wondering, what has our buddy Scott ever written?
I would love to know.
Well, I'm sure he's written, an essay in school, or he's probably written his name a few times. Maybe he's written some tweets. I don't know. I don't know if he's on Twitter.
T-E-E.
Hasn't written Teems.
Okay, so I'm looking at this person.
And hasn't written a lot of things that have been made into films or TV. He's done a few.
Looks like he's written a short and another short.
Yeah.
And something called That Evening Sun.
Right. I've never heard of that. Have you?
No.
Nope.
He's been the story editor and has written some episodes of the TV series Rectify. Which,
have you heard of that?
Maybe it's European.
He's not European though. He's from Georgia. He looks like a good old Georgia boy too.
Yeah, no, this is American.
And he also wrote one episode of Narcos, but it looks like he was the executive producer for a bunch of episodes of Narcos.
Well, that's good.
So that's a thing, but in terms of writing, he hasn't done much. So this little blurb on Bloody Disgusting about it says that he's in talks to pen the sequel script, which sounds to me like the money thing, not like, hey, can I write this? And they've decided on him and they're trying to work out terms.
Mm-hmm.
It says it will be based on a well-liked treatment he has already written for the company.
I understand. Okay.
So he's written the treatment, they like it, and now they're saying, hey, write us a movie.
Interesting. Now, this is weird to me because I had just assumed that with this being a big success and the sequel already being greenlit, that they would try and get the writers who had written the first movie to write
right
it.
Now. And this does not talk about that, so I don't know if they have, if they won't do it, if I don't know anything about that.
Well, or maybe he's the third man because Jeff Fradley was the third man of this one. So it was Danny McBride, David Gordon Green, and Jeff Fradley.
Jim, the only third man I recognize is Hulk Hogan.
This new man, this Jeff Teems is the third man. Mark Teems, was it?
Well, I knew it all along. It was Scott Teems. I told you guys for years it was Scott Teems was the third man.
Scott Teems.
And it also says that Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, and Andy Matichak How is that pronounced? Did I get that
That
kind of
sounds
right?
close. Matichak
Will all likely be returning for the sequel. As for David Gordon Green, his involvement is unknown.
Well, that's unfortunate because that was a slam bang awesome movie, and when the person who directed it and had co-written it is not involved, or may not be involved, it just makes you a little scared.
Right.
See, there are known knowns and there are unknown knowns and there are unknown unknowns, which is to say we don't know what we don't yet know.
Right.
There's a little Donald Rumsfeld for everyone.
Yeah. So it's not a lot of information, but we know for sure a sequel is happening, and it seems like they have their writer, and that's about all they know right now.
I just hope they don't ruin this good thing.
Yeah.
And maybe they never planned to do a sequel, that this was, here's how you finish it off. And then the movie studio said, hey, made a lot of money, Mr.
And was good.
Mr. Blumhouse. Was good. Right, and was good. And
I think that matters because, no, maybe not. I wish Dale were here because then I could be not here. But no, also,
I wish you were here.
If a movie makes a lot of money because it has hype, but everybody hated it, I feel like that's less likely to get a sequel because they go, well, it got terrible reviews. Yeah, we got that big first weekend, but people probably won't see another one. But this got good reviews, so definitely have to do another one, even if they weren't planning on it.
And it didn't just get good critical reviews. The fans also liked it.
Right.
Because Dale and I touched on that in an episode whenever he was last on here, where we looked at some thermometer scores compared to the people's scores and how different they were for some movies.
And don't horror movies tend to not be critically reviewed that well?
Yes. Historically, for sure.
Right. So yeah, the fan response is really what I was getting at. That was good. If that was bad, even if it made a little bit of money, they might not have done another one because they would have known, well, they always redo the horror movies, so they might have done another one anyway. But they're doing it.
They tend to do sequels even if the critics don't care. They tend to do sequels anyway. So when it makes a lot of money and people really liked it and the critics really liked it, the odds of them not doing one seem pretty low.
Yeah. And now this article ends by saying it's entirely possible they could rush Halloween 2 out for release this coming October, but at this point it seems more likely for an October 2020 release. Which is probably better, right? If they still don't have all this information, might as well wait.
Yeah. Did you fall down the stairs? What happened?
I don't know what that was. I'm trying to figure that out. I can't believe that was in another room. Apparently, I think the cat might have done something.
Oh yeah, you have those.
Yeah, nothing in the room I'm in is on the ground, so I don't know what that was.
I watched this really interesting video, and if you want to watch it, go on YouTube and search for Nicolas Cage talks about his most famous roles or something like that. We really don't have a website for me to link it to everybody anyway. But maybe I can give Dale the link. He could throw it on Facebook or something.
Is it this 21-minute video?
Yes, it's just like him sitting down.
Yeah, in a jacket. Yeah, okay.
He goes over all of his iconic roles. Not in Valley Girl, though, but, like Moonstruck, Raising Arizona, like chronologically. And it was, I'm going to say this, I'm being completely sincere. It was really, really compelling to watch. And I have a completely different respect for him because he's really into it. And he knows what he's doing, even if he seems batshit crazy. He's like, oh yeah, I'm trying. This is exactly what I'm going for. Is this German impressionistic take on this character, and like Vampire's Kiss, where he has all those crazy Nosferatu faces and stuff.
I watched that a couple years ago for the first time. That was a thing.
That's his favorite role, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, at least it seems that way from the video. But he talks about this movie Mandy, where he plays this character, And the director wanted him to play a different character, but he said, no, I really should play this character, Red. And I think Mandy was the one where he's talking about the director wanted him to play it. Maybe this was a different movie. It was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. And he's like,
okay,
I want you to play the Mr. Hyde part like Jason Voorhees. But he's like, I've never seen any of those movies. He's like, I watched the one movie he wanted me to watch. And I just thought that was interesting. He's like, I've never been into slasher movies. But he didn't like tear down a genre. He wasn't like slasher movies suck. They're beneath me.
Well, I'm kind of, I don't love horror movies, but I don't hate them. I'm not going to talk bad about them. They're just not really my thing.
But he was just, I think this movie was at a point in his career where he could have just said, no, I'm not watching it.
He's
like, no,
has he ever just said no?
I watched the one he wanted me to watch. And he's like, it seems like he's really into every role. Like when you think of movies like Face Off and Con Air, where you're like, yeah, those are just, that's just a money grab.
No, you know what? I'm with you on that.
He's really into it. Like he talks about Con Air and Face Off, and he's like, and I was going for this, and I got really into this role, and this is the portrayal. And when he's talking about the character in Con Air, he's like, that was me, being a skinny kid getting beat up in high school, and this was like the version of me I wished I was for those bullies, like the Southern badass. And I'm like, wow, he's like, he had it all planned out for all of these movies. It's crazy.
You know what? I've never thought about this with him because, the joke is that he'll do anything. He's got to pay his back taxes and
right.
And all that, and that is all true. He does a lot of movies that you would call a money grab, but he doesn't mail anything in.
And
no matter what you think of his acting abilities, he's kind of an overactor. He's a little goofy sometimes. I understand not liking him as an actor if you don't, but you cannot claim that he was just getting the paycheck, barely was on set, didn't put anything into it. Everything I've ever seen of him, he's treating it like he's trying to get an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah, and we poke fun at him a lot on this show, and because I like doing his voice, it's entertaining.
Which, by the way, is really rude to do that to a regular guest.
Yeah, I mean, he's not here to defend himself,
right?
But he had this movie, I forget the name of it, and I didn't see it, and I probably should have. But he had this movie called Adaptation, where he plays these two guys, Charlie Kaufman, and I don't know. He plays the same. He's playing two different people.
Okay,
I guess.
I haven't seen the movie, but I think
they're twins or something.
Okay.
Or maybe I haven't seen it either, so I don't know if it's like, oh, this other guy's just in his head the whole time. Who knows? But they were showing clips of it, and it's like, man, he's like really dedicated, really into it. And he said, I'd wake up, and if I was really tired and I was just under, a lot of stress and under weather, I'm like, okay, I'm playing this guy today. And then we would do the other guy. But if I woke up and I felt good and I felt motivated, then I'd say, okay, I'm playing Charlie today. Like he brings 100% to all these things, and he has it all planned out. And the one thing that I really took away from this video, please go watch it. It's worth your time. Is he loves acting, and it's like his passion. It's what he loves to do. It's not like you know how sometimes there'll be a celebrity, they'll get famous for something, and then they'll really get into this other like side passion project, and you could tell that that's all they really want to do, and then they do their primary celebrity thing for the money. Like maybe they get into race cars or something, and they're just like, yeah, I still do movies because I got to, but no, he's like, movies is his thing. Like movies is his passion project thing. It's so weird. I
think we get that a lot. It's all music, but I think we get that a lot with musicians where they'll have their band that hits it big, and then they just got to play the hits. But then they'll have all those side projects with stuff nobody buys, but that's for them. They're doing that because they need that creative outlet still.
Yeah, that's a good example.
The big band they're playing for, that's just paying the bills.
Yeah, I would say the cases where that doesn't happen with huge bands is probably few and far between.
Well, can you imagine? I mean, well, you do, but even at a more extreme level, like the Rolling Stones have been playing the same songs for 50 years.
Yeah, and Metallica.
Yeah,
those are the two bands. Rolling Stones was the one, and Metallica was the other one where I thought they've done some little side things, but
Right.
But it's not as if they are doing the state fair circuit and playing the hits.
Right.
And then they're not.
Yeah. And like Metallica, maybe I'm wrong. Are they individually branching out that much?
No, almost not at all.
So they, as a band, they do different things. Like they did the thing with the symphony, and they did the garage thing and all that. And that's their way of going like, we're tired of doing what we're doing. But we gotta do
they don't
something different.
They don't do side projects. And like Mick Jagger did stuff with other people in the 80s, and then he had like solo.
You're talking about David Bowie and other stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
You don't mean music right now.
No, that too.
Oh, okay.
but you get the sense that the Rolling Stones, they never look like they're sick of playing "Start Me Up,"
which I can't even imagine how they're not.
Like, think about how many times Metallica has played "Fade to Black" or "One" or some of these songs that they've been playing for 35 years. They never look bored playing it though.
And I guess it is like 5 minutes of your night, or 8, or however long the song is. But I mean,
right.
But still, I don't know. Is it?
I got
sick
of playing Metallica songs.
Well, I'll tell you this: if someone told me that, hey, what are your 5 favorite songs? And then I figured out what those were, and they're like, all right, every day, every night, play those 5 songs in order. You have to every night. Mm-hmm. You get a break every now and then, but it's like, I think I'd get tired of listening to those 5 songs because I listen to them every day. And that's just listening to it. That's not, I have to play it and I have to be good at it because thousands of people have expectations. Because this is the one time they get to hear it come from me.
That might be the key. I think
maybe
sometimes
that's it. The pressure, not pressure, but that's the motivation is not so much the song. It's, I want to make these people happy.
Well, yeah, you psych yourself up and you think a good portion of these people probably have never seen us, and this is probably a lot of their favorite song, and they're gonna get to hear us play it. So you can't. It's almost like pro wrestling in a sense, where you're doing a house show circuit, but you got to bring it like it's WrestleMania, because that might be that fans' only chance to see you,
right?
So like you want to put on a really good show, even if it's not, on TV or whatever,
right? And of course, they have pride in their work, which I think a lot of us can understand that you just, even if you don't feel like doing it, you're gonna do it because this is what you do, and you take pride in that. And
I think if the audience really gets into it and is going crazy, it's got to be hard to be bored, because there have been songs that I've gotten bored playing in just a Metallica tribute band. But if it's a big show where there's thousands of people there and you're playing it and they're going crazy, it's hard to be bored.
Right. And now I would say one of the differences being in a tribute band is people definitely don't want you playing anything off the new album.
Generally not.
Like maybe if there's one new big hit, but what I'm saying is they can do that, and people might be like, "Oh, the new album," blah, but they can do it, and people are okay with it. If a tribute band's like, "Hey, here's a deep cut from
the new
album no one bought," that's not going to make people too happy.
That will kill a room. I can tell you. Right. You nailed it. That's 100% correct. I've been in that scenario, and it kills the vibe.
Yeah.
There will be, if it's a bigger show, the chances of there being some like hardcore that's there that really wants to hear some track 5 off the new album is higher. The chance of that's higher. But that one person's really into it, and that's it. But we've just sort of said fuck you and played it anyway, because we like oh, this new song's really cool and we want to play it, and we're just going to play it. The problem is, if you start like screwing up that new song or it sounds like shit that night, people just walk away. And that is the worst feeling in the world. When people just start to leave the room, you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Right.
That happened once.
Oh, no.
That happened once. We were playing a song off of, it wasn't new, but it was the newest album they had.
Okay.
It was the first track off of Death Magnetic. It was called That Was Just Your Life, which is an awesome song. And we really liked playing it.
Was that a song that ever got any kind of radio play, or would
No.
people a casual person wouldn't know that?
Maybe because
Okay.
like if you had seen them live at any point in the past like 3 years or something,
Okay.
you would have heard them play it. It was the first song of the new album, so
Right.
so
Okay.
some people knew it, but it wasn't a fan favorite by any means, and it just sounded like shit that night, and it was way too loud in the room, and it was really hot. It was either really hot or really cold. I can't remember what season it was, but whatever season it was, the inside wasn't as comfortable as the outside. And the
Okay.
song was too loud, and we were playing it like shit, and people just started walking out.
Oh no.
And that was it's basically the only time that it ever happened, and it wasn't fun.
No, I can't. No.
But nobody walks out during Enter Sandman. Nobody walks out during one.
Well, not only that, no one's walking out during Metallica because they're playing a new. They might go. That might be the time they go to the bathroom, but they're not like they're not leaving your show. They're just
right.
They're going to sit through it because they're probably thinking, well, if I go to the bathroom now, I'm going to miss whatever the next song is.
Yeah, and I
don't
paid
wanna miss that
$100 or something. Like that's different.
Yeah, to sit behind this pole in the upper deck.
I mean, it's one
I
thing.
assume $100 is not getting you a good seat at Metallica.
Probably get you a decent one if you're getting like
Okay.
tickets the day of or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
maybe somebody can't go.
Gotcha.
It was really awkward. Usually people just stand there and don't do anything, but to actually leave the room was like, wow. Okay, because sometimes like halfway in, people are like, okay, I need a break. But this was like the second song, maybe the first song of the night. It was really early in the night, and they were just
okay.
like, okay. And they just started walking out, and I was like, oh, Christ.
Oh man. Do you ever just want to stop in like the middle of the song and be like, guys, let's just not do that one. I know you can't do that. You got to finish it. But do you ever want to when you see that and just go?
It's happened. We've done it.
Have you?
It's
You
not
have?
fun. It's worse. It's almost worse than just
right.
like
Then
just
plowing
stumble through it. Yeah.
You know, you could probably cut out like a verse. I don't know if there's like a signal you can give the rest of the band, like get rid of that third verse and go. We'll finish it early. No one will notice.
Well, we had a little trick. So after it had happened at a show where we stopped and started the same song like 3 times.
Oh no! You're repeating the spot. You can't do that 3 times.
Yeah, we repeated the spot. So we came up with a little. I don't know what you'd call it in the wrestling world, but we had like an audible, right?
Okay.
So if the drummer was too lost to continue and he knew that this is just going to be a disaster, he would abruptly start the intro. We would go into a song called Motor Breath, which starts with like this tom fill in the beginning. You know, it's probably like 8 bars or something of a tom fill, right? So plenty of time for us to be like, oh, okay, shit. Where we don't have to play anything. He just plays like the digga.
So you go one song into another like it was on purpose, but really you're just cutting that song short.
We're just going, but people would hear that fill and be like, oh, and they'd go like, oh, this song's great.
Right.
So that was the audible. The only time it backfired is a show after I'd left the band. I went to see them because they were close to me. And it was the first time I'd ever gotten drunk in my life. And they're like, come on up and play a song. And I was like, okay.
Oh, no.
I didn't screw up the song because I was drunk. I screwed up the song because I couldn't hear anything. So and then the drummer kind of got lost based on what I was playing. So then he goes into it, right? And we start playing, and then I screw up that song.
Oh no!
So like then you're just stuck playing that one till it's over, because
and then they're thinking, why did we invite him on stage?
They may have thought that. Who knows?
Yeah,
I couldn't feel my face, so it didn't matter.
Right. Well, there you go. Yeah, I guess they were probably more embarrassed than you were at that point.
It wasn't even like, I guess people didn't really notice.
Oh,
but
well,
I could tell it was going horribly.
That's good though, that they didn't notice or they didn't care because they were as drunk as you were and it didn't matter to them.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Probably happens a lot.
I don't want to stay on this tangent too long, but normally
Wait, did Dale send you notes?
No, he didn't. But normally, normally the fans, the audience. I don't want to say the fans. That's sort of pathetic. they're not fans of mine. The audience doesn't notice the mistakes like you do, unless it's so glaring that you have to stop a song and restart it.
Right.
But most of the time, they don't notice. Just like a casual sports fan wouldn't notice, I don't know, somebody blowing defensive call in basketball or something like, oh no, they were supposed to switch or whatever. Like the casual fan doesn't notice, so it's not a big deal.
Right. In a football game, you notice they blew a coverage when a guy falls, trips or falls down.
Right.
Or someone's wide open. But if like one guy is a couple yards off his mark, you're just like, oh, the offense had a good play.
Yeah, he's faster.
You don't really notice all of that. Right.
Yeah, so it's like that with music too. Like most people don't notice; they notice the glaring things, just like in sports. Like if you're James Harden and someone throws the ball at your face, people notice that. Does Dale have more notes for us?
So not notes, but he does have one more thing he wants me to talk about. It's another movie thing, and it's another remake. It's a remake that was like it was talked about. And it was kind of on, and then it was not talked about, but it's back on. We're getting the remake for Escape from New York.
Oh, no.
That's an oh, no.
I'm not happy about it. I mean,
okay,
I'm not.
So, I think you and Dale talked about it a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, so let me talk.
It was supposed to be Robert Rodriguez signed on.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. So let me just summarize a little bit of this here. So then Rodriguez has been working on something else, and now it sounds like Lee Whannell, Whannell. I don't know if that name's familiar to you, but he's been hired to write the new version. He's an actor in lots. He has a lot more writing credits too. Okay. He wrote the first few Saw movies.
Okay, so he's written things.
He wrote Insidious. He wrote those movies. Those get good reviews. So that's what he's known for, mostly those two.
Okay.
Don't know if he'll direct.
Well, I don't want to change my tune too much because I did say like the Big Trouble in Little China remake. I'll just be happy that there's another one if it is a remake. I'll just be happy, and it doesn't affect the old one. Right, so this won't affect the old Escape from New York. But the reason I'm sort of disappointed is I kind of like the resequeling trend more than the rebooting trend.
Okay.
So I just don't know how into it I'll be.
So you would have preferred that they actually followed through with Escape from Earth.
Yes,
have you heard of Escape from Earth?
I have heard of that.
Okay. This article goes into that again. It's a pretty long article that I'm not going to read. It talks about all the different incarnations. Like it had like an anime series and all that. Did you know that?
No.
There's an anime title called Snake, apparently.
Well, that makes sense.
Or maybe it never even came. Maybe it never even happened. This is an article like all the things that some of them happened, some of them were planned, some of them didn't happen. But it sounds like we're going to get the remake. They've got a writer. And it's also unsure if Rodriguez is on board to have any involvement still. And it's supposed to retain elements from the original while bringing fresh ideas to proceedings, which that's what you do with a remake. So
I don't know. I love Escape from New York, and I like Escape from L.A.
I've never seen L.A. I've only seen New York.
It's pretty good. Like if you like New York, it's to say that it's not even close to New York. Like it's almost the same movie in a way.
Okay.
So it's almost like Evil Dead 2, where they're like,
gotcha.
This is our chance to redo the original, sort of. I don't know. It's weird to put it that way, but it wasn't like they were just cashing in. Like they were really. I thought they had some really good ideas. They had some cool sequences and stuff in it, and it was like a new. Maybe it was like 10 years too early. Like maybe if it come out in 2006, it would have been a bigger deal instead of 96. I don't know, but I thought it was cool. I saw it at the theater the night it came out, and but I like the original's better. and I've seen it way more, so it's hard for. I've only seen L.A. a handful of times, but it would just be cooler to see Kurt Russell play Snake again, especially because
that's what's unclear is whether he will, because he has talked before about how he doesn't think Snake should be old, and so I don't know if he'll do it. I'm sure he's going to be involved. He might be in it. And it says John Carpenter is going to be executive producer. Who knows what that means? That could mean he's involved, or it could mean he's just going to make money by putting his name on it.
He's historically not done that. I think the only movie that's sort of like a sequel of one of his franchises that I can think of where he executive produced it is the new Halloween, and that was excellent. So
right. And he was involved, right? That was not just I'm slapping my name on it.
Of course, yeah. And he also did this. He did the score. Him and Cody, I believe, is his kid's name.
So that's a good thing that he's involved. Again, I don't know what Kurt Russell's involvement will be. He's got to be involved, but I don't know if he'll be Snake.
Even if there's a new protagonist, and you kill Snake off in this one, or you have a minute or something, I would enjoy that. So
you don't want another person to play Snake?
I don't want another person to play. It's not just that. It's not. Some people get all into the fanboy part of it. Like,
no, I don't mean it from that, because you were okay with someone else with who was it, The Rock, Burton, who was supposed to be him. You were okay with that, so it's not that aspect of it.
Yeah, it's just you could creatively take this same universe in a new direction without having to reboot or remake things. I just want to see them continue the continuity rather than feel like they need to reboot something. Although I will say I have seen the new Child's Play trailer, and that doesn't look bad. It looks kind of neat.
I have not seen that. And I do like those movies. I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen a few of the earlier ones.
Yeah, the new Child's Play.
I don't know if I need a brand new, although they've kind of done, I feel like they've done enough that they can start over now, whereas Snake hasn't done enough yet. So I don't really want them to start over yet.
Yeah, they haven't sort of jumped the shark. He's only had the 2 movies.
Yeah, does that make sense? Like, he's had the 2. I feel like we could have more adventures from him. I don't need to see the beginning of the adventures again.
Yeah, I understand. That makes
if they were rebooting with somebody new, and I know you don't really like that, but whether it is that character or a different character, and they were planning on doing a few of them, I would like that. It sounds like they're not planning on having a franchise out of this. They might do it if it goes well, but I don't think that's the plan.
For the new Escape from New York?
Right.
Okay, right. And here's why I don't know. If it's called Escape from New York, the chances of it being a sequel to me are pretty low, because that's already one of them.
Right.
We're re-escaping from New York again.
Escape from New York again. We got back, and now we want to leave.
Interesting note about Child's Play. I'm looking at the cast here. Aubrey Plaza. And she's the mom. Andy, there's a new Andy. So it's a complete reboot. But I don't see Charles Lee Ray or Chucky in any of the cast list. So
kind of important though, right?
Yeah. Which leads me to believe,
surprise,
maybe, I don't know,
like they're intentionally not going to rename the doll.
Oh, that's a good point. Or maybe it's not a voiced character anymore. Maybe it's just like a mindless doll that would take.
But the whole charm is that this doll is like.
That was the word I was going to use too. The charm is going to be gone.
Right, like the you need the doll to talk. You need it. All right, so I'm looking at this now. All these people look like they're just characters, except there's a character named Pug. I could see Pug being the name of the doll.
Please, no.
Oh, I'm not hoping for it. Oh no, it's a kid. It's a kid who's got a chubby face. Okay, he's Pug. That's just a character.
Yeah, it does not. I don't see any information about it.
No, I don't either. So maybe they are keeping it a secret for some reason.
Yeah, because you don't remake that, and you don't like remake A Nightmare on Elm Street and like the killer, Bill. You know,
Yeah, right.
You remake it so you can have Freddy Krueger in the movie.
Right.
So you don't remake this to not have Chucky
It's his
in it.
brother Bill Krueger. But he's fine. He wasn't burned or anything.
We know it can't be Brad Dourif because he's too busy playing Chucky. He can't play Chucky.
Can't be Chucky. That's still great.
But if he was,
well, maybe he is. Maybe that's
so
all
happy.
a ruse. Maybe he found time in between being busy playing Chucky to play Chucky.
If this was a fresh remake, but also had Brad Dourif, I always feel like I'm saying his name wrong.
I hope that's how it's pronounced because that's how I say it, either in my head or out loud. So it'd be great if that's actually how, like, with that little pause, that hesitation.
Is it Dourif?
Dourif?
Now they have a pronunciation key on Wikipedia, but it does me no good. Because it's got things in it that aren't real letters. It's like a backwards. There's a backwards C in it.
Right.
I don't know what the backwards C means.
I don't see this pronunciation thing.
Well, it's got like, I don't know, next
Where is it here? Oh, there. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's. Oh, it's DeGrivif. There's a colon in there.
Yeah, DeColon riff. Brad DeColon riff. He's too busy playing Chucky. He can't be playing Chucky. But if he does play Chucky, even though that sort of is weird, like it's a remake, but the same guy plays Chucky, I don't care. That's fine. Go on ahead and do that.
Let's look on Wikipedia here. I was on IMDb and they didn't have.
I looked on Wikipedia already.
It's not there either, huh?
It's not there, and I can't find like a slashingcolon.com or like rippingasshole.net. Like I can't even find one of those. It doesn't say that. It's not on his Wikipedia.
Right.
Page. I'll tell you that. Although he's supposed to be too busy playing Chucky, so he's too busy playing Chucky.
It does sound like. I mean, it will be Chucky.
It better be Chucky.
Yeah. So I guess there was an image released. I haven't seen it, but
there wasn't a lot of the doll in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't turn me off. I didn't see the trailer and like, oh, this looks like dog shit.
Well, they're gonna change it up a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
So
there's a detective in it again. I mean, it seems like a straight up remake. I'm trying to think if there's a reboot that I like. Because I thought about how I would prefer if they just continue the story rather than do a reboot or a remake because we've been down that road. And I can't think of a reboot that I liked that I felt even close. It's hard with superhero movies because that's going to happen. So like I did like Batman Begins when I saw it at the show. Right. And I really liked Michael Keaton Batman.
That is a reboot. But that was done so differently that it didn't feel like oh well, here comes Batman, like here's another Batman reboot. It didn't feel like that, at least to me.
No, it didn't.
There's no other Batman ever. Maybe one of the cartoons, but like the movies or whatever, they didn't go into it like that. So that felt completely fresh.
Yeah,
to me.
It doesn't. It's not a remake like normal remakes generally retell the same story of the original movie.
Right, like the Spider-Mans, which I have not seen all of the. But don't they pretty much? They're kind of telling. When they reboot, they're rebooting. They're doing the same thing at the beginning. The story goes different places from there, but the origin's the origin. So
essentially, and even those will be a different twist on the origin, but the best one is the newest one, and that doesn't do that in this current continuity, we didn't get an origin story of him getting bitten by the spider and blah blah blah. They finally said, "Oh, people know that origin story. We don't need to do that again."
So that is the origin story. They just didn't bother wasting time showing it to you. Right? It's not a different origin story this time.
Correct. It's not a different origin story. He was bitten by a radioactive spider. I don't remember them talking too much about what happened with Uncle Ben. He's not around. I mean, I'm assuming he's dead, but I don't think they touched on specifically him getting shot by a crook or something, but we're left to assume the origin is the same.
That's good.
And I
think you can do that with a property like Spider-Man, where no one's coming into this thing not knowing a little bit. And if they don't know a little bit, well, there's like 8 other movies where they can figure it out.
Yes, there are. Into the Spider-Verse is an origin story, but it's an origin story of a new Spider-Man that we've not heard anything about in any of the movies.
Well, that's a completely different.
Like, they don't give us the origin story of our Peter Parker from our universe, or however you want to put it.
Right.
None of it's really our universe. It's all made up. But the one that we know, that Peter Parker's in here in this movie, we just don't get his origin story.
Gotcha.
I can't think of one. Honestly, can't. I'm having a hard time thinking of any right now. Rob Zombie's Halloween. Like, there are always things like that. I just don't. Man of Steel. It's not really with something like Superman. That's almost like saying they're remaking Jesus movies. Like, I remember the Jesus movie I saw. Like, they're
right. And when they went, how long did they go? They went a long, long time between Superman movies, so it made sense to start over.
Yeah, they did from 87 to 2006.
Okay, so that. I thought it was actually longer than that.
It was 87 to 2006, but the 2006 movie is a sequel of the 1981 sequel. That was like the first re-sequel of as far as superhero movies go. He had Halloween H2O, and then you have this. But then you had 2006 to 2013, I think, is when Man of Steel came out, 2013. So 7 years. Which it doesn't seem, I guess I don't know if it seems like not long enough to you, but it seems long to me because the sequel to Superman Returns was in the works, like, I think up until 2009. Like, yep, untitled Superman Returns sequel starring the guy, what's his name? Brandon Routh. Like, that was going to be a thing for a while, and then just wasn't.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think of any. I can't think of any either that are better, I guess, is what we're looking at.
Or even that I enjoyed.
Right. Well, Halloween, I mean,
I didn't enjoy it.
You were a fan? No, the new Halloween.
Yeah, that's not a remake, though. It's just a sequel.
Oh, it is a sequel. Okay.
Yeah, it's a sequel to the original movie.
Oh, but they're calling it just Halloween.
They called it just Halloween.
That sure is confusing for someone like me who doesn't pay that close of attention to it.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about it on the show. How
I've glossed over a lot of that.
I've coined the phrase re-sequeling, and it's a re-sequeling. It's a re-sequel of Halloween 2. It's their new Halloween 2, but they just call it Halloween.
Okay. So Halloween 2, the new Halloween 2 is going to be Halloween 3, maybe. But it'll be probably a completely different story.
It will be very Rambo-esque, yes. First Blood, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3. Doesn't make sense, but that's...
Yeah, well...
That's just what we have. I don't like them. I didn't see Ghostbusters. I did like Amazing Spider-Man. The first... So there were 2 Amazing Spider-Mans with Emma Stone in them.
Okay.
The first one of those, which was also another let's tell the origin story again, blah, blah, blah. I liked that one substantially more than the first Tobey Maguire one. So I guess that would count, because that's almost a straight-up remake. It's like the same origin, like it's an origin story again, Peter Parker, blah, blah, blah. They do a lot of things differently, but I liked that one a lot more. So other than that, I can't think of one.
Yeah, but they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
keep doing it, and I don't know why.
It seems to happen in horror movies the most, I think. We had a remake, a Nightmare on Elm Street reboot. We had a Halloween reboot. We had a Friday the 13th reboot several times.
Why is that? Is that because those movies have a following and they are out of ideas for a sequel, so they're like, well, let's just do it over again? Why is that?
My guess, I don't know. I'm not an industry insider, but my guess is that they know that the property has commercial value in that most people are familiar with Friday the 13th, hockey mask, killer guy. And they know that historically there have been a ton of sequels in these horror movies, and they sort of run their course really quickly and then just sort of churn out garbage. And I think they just want to, let's hold on to the equity in the property of the name and the characters and just redo it, because who cares? It's not like we're redoing The Godfather or whatever, you know?
Yeah, horror movie properties are interesting because they can not have to do that many good things and still I'm not saying this right. They can make 10 movies, one of them can be good, but because people get into the character and in the world, that they can do video games and toy, like they can make a lot of money on other things with a pretty bad track record of not making good movies with that character.
Yes, they can. Some might argue
which is interesting.
Some might argue that none of the movies in the series are good. I would make that argument for Friday the 13th. I would say the first movie is the best one as far as movies go, but I would not say that's a good movie.
And you love them, and you kind of love them all anyway. Not every, but
yes, I love them.
You're also a big fan,
a huge fan. Love them anyway. Right. You know, like some of the worst ones as movies are some of my favorite ones to watch, just for just nostalgia, or I like the way Jason looks in that one, or whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
I don't think, is there anything else like that where like you create that property, and then really what keeps it alive is not the movies. Like there could be, I don't know how many Friday the 13th movies there are, but I do know there could be a lot fewer of them and it would be just as popular as it is because of everything else. And that's interesting to me.
That's a good point. But maybe not, because I think part of what keeps that franchise alive in people's minds is the fact that they've made so many. Like that's one of the things people remember.
So like,
about.
There's a new one coming out, and even though it's going to be bad and everyone hates it, the fact that you talked about a new one for a year.
Well, it's like a trope in other horror movies where if they have like a fake horror movie franchise within that horror movie, like they do in Monster Squad, like this is the fourth one, and in this one they cut him up and they did this, and then they set him on fire, but now in this one he's back. Like, so
that's true. The idea of a bunch of sequels is it's actually important too.
Yeah, like slasher movies kind of started the whole churning out a sequel every year, every couple of years thing. Like there were Dirty Harry sequels, and there were Death Wish sequels and stuff, but not like Friday the 13th and Halloween, and like we got to do, like Star Wars has sequels, right? But they come out every 3 years and they make a ton of money and everyone loves them.
Right. Well, all the things you mentioned before Star Wars those are things you can make every year pretty cheaply.
Right.
Like you can make a Western. Well, I mean, the set pieces, but probably are a lot, but not back when everyone was making those types of movies.
Yeah, I'm sure they reused them all the time.
Right, and it's all the same stuff. Yeah. And a lot of the like, I'm assuming like a lot of the noir detective things.
Yeah, like the same backlot. This is the same detective.
Right.
Set.
It's the same stuff, and it's probably pretty easy to whip up a script. They're kind of formulaic in a way. Not that that's a bad thing, but you're not breaking new ground with the story you're telling. And horror movies slashers. They're kind of the same way, where it doesn't cost a lot.
Right.
So might as well keep making new ones.
Yeah. So they made a ton, and it's sort of like part of what people talk about in pop culture is that there are horror movies have so many sequels, and why are there so many, and they're all bad. So I would say like Jason would still be an iconic horror figure, without 15 movies, but the part of what kept that alive just sort of in pop culture is that there's so many, and it's ridiculous how many there are.
That seems fair. Yeah, I don't think one movie would have been enough. But
right. Yeah, they sort of accidentally hit on this. I mean, you think of Jason, you think of Friday the 13th, you think of Jason, you think of the hockey mask, and that's the third movie before we get any of that. So prior to that third movie, what we know of now as Jason and what has value in terms of marketing and licensing and all that didn't exist until the third movie.
Yeah. Hey, wanna guess who didn't know that?
You?
I did not know that.
A lot of people don't know that.
Right?
A lot of people don't know that. And I don't sort of like expect people to know that, right? But a lot of people don't know that. So it just goes to show you that what you think of instantly, what most people think of as the quintessential character, central figure of Friday the 13th wasn't even there until, I don't even know, like not even right when the third movie starts. Like he gets the mask, he's already killed like 6 people at that point or something in the third movie. But that image we have of him at the bald guy with the hockey mask, like that didn't start until the third movie, and that's what everyone remembers.
That's crazy, man. Now I'm trying to think of other iconic things that are. I mean, a lot of like, especially cartoons. You know, the drawing changes a little bit, but something where a thing was around for a while, but what people know it as is not even really close to how it started, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could. It happens with bands a lot, you know, where you think of a band's like 2 or 3 records grouped together.
Pantera's became a lot different.
Yeah, Pantera did become a lot different, and yeah. So what people think of as Pantera from 1983 to 1990 was not Pantera,
right?
You know, like it was a weird. It's just like a hair metal band.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard any of that Pantera. By the way, I'm aware of it, but I don't think I've heard any of it.
If you went into it expecting to sound like Pantera, it does not really.
Right. That's what I've heard.
So what you think of with the bald guy singing and there's the yelling and screaming and really heavy guitar stuff, that's like 3 albums.
Yeah.
And maybe 4. Like from the second album to the end was Pantera-y, you know? But like even Cowboys from Hell is kind of, they didn't really hit that Pantera sound yet. So, yeah, but when you think of Pantera, what you think of was not what it started out as, not even close to the start of what that was. That's the only other thing I can think of. Even Metallica, like when people think of Metallica and the way James sounds, James didn't really start sounding like that until like their 4th album.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, he was just sort of screamier, yellier.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, they changed. Like, I consider them more. They evolved. Maybe evolved is not the word you would want to use.
No.
They changed, but I don't feel like it was like, well, we're a different band now. It was kind of a progression toward that.
Yeah.
As they got older, which kind of made sense, actually. Like, they kind of changed as things went on, but.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, let's say you did a style parody of Metallica.
Right.
And you wanted to sound like Metallica, and you wanted to make something where people would hear it and go, that sounds like Metallica. It wouldn't sound like the first 2 albums.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
You know, like if you made an album that sounded like that, hardcore fans would be like, oh, it sounds like Ride the Lightning. But the general public wouldn't be like, that sounds like the Metallica I know.
Yeah, the Metallica people think of as probably the Black Album Metallica, right?
Yeah,
and maybe even later than that.
That and later. And sort of like currently still kind of has a sound. They have a sound.
Right.
And that sound wasn't really there in the early days. Like it was a different sound.
Yeah.
Like think of sports too. Think of Michael Jordan. People remember the bald guy with the armband. Like no one remembers Michael Jordan with hair. But that was like...
It's weird. Michael Jordan with hair, especially on the Bulls. Like college with hair, it's one thing.
With hair and like short shorts. Yeah. Like people think of 91, 92, 93, 96. You know, like people just get an image of that thing.
Those great 2002 Wizards games.
He could still bring it though. He could still drop points on you.
He was a legitimate NBA player at that point, but he wasn't Michael Jordan anymore.
He wasn't.
So we all try to forget it.
He wasn't, but he wasn't the worst player in the league by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh no, not even close. He was fine. He NBA player, which when you're talking about Michael Jordan, that's kind of a big insult to refer to him as only that. Yeah. But it's true.
Well,
so that's all Dale had for us. Did you have anything?
I have a quick plug. 18th Street Brewery in Hammond. We will be playing there. Dadbot is playing a show there Friday, February 15th. The show's from 8 to 11. Get there at 7. Get a little drunk first. We sound better that way. So come out to 18th Street Brewery that's in Hammond, Indiana on Friday, February 15th.
Oh, that's this Friday.
Yes, this Friday. Valentine's Day will be over. You don't got that shit excuse.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't. I'm assuming you're the same way, but Valentine's Day becomes not much of a thing once you're married for a while. Like you spend time together, but it's not a big production. That's true for you? I assume
that is. I would go a little further. Chris and I have been together. Let me try and do the math. In April, it'll be 18 years we've been together.
Wow.
Valentine's Day has not been a thing for like 16 of those years.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
That's fine. Wendy and I, we go to White Castle every year. That has been our tradition since the beginning.
Tradition.
So we do White Castle, and that's pretty much all we do for Valentine's Day. And by the way, that tradition was her idea.
And
when we started dating. So I don't want anyone going, oh yeah, look at you cheap finding a way to get out of Valentine's. No, this is not my thing. I mean, I like it. That's fine. Not my idea.
I like their cheese fries. Get that cup of cheese.
Yeah. So we just do the White Castle thing. It's pretty great.
So do your thing if you're gonna do a thing, but then come out Friday
on the 15th. Yeah.
See Dadbot.
And if because Valentine's Day is on a Thursday, you gotta do a date night on a Friday. Dadbot sounds like a fun date night.
Yeah, we play
Make that your Valentine's Day.
We play a lot of upbeat love songs.
There you go.
Or so I'm told.
Jim is in a coma throughout it, so he doesn't know what songs they're playing.
This has been episode 58 of Not Like This. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jim Snedeker.
I'm Brad Dourif.
And I'm too busy playing Chucky. I don't have time to play Chucky.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.